to. Like, I
Yeah.
skated for a long time. I played soccer, but those were things that I
like
wanted
an
to
ice
do
skater?
for fun. Yeah. Yes, you should see me do a pirouette.
Yeah. Not a lot of people know Louisiana is known for its ice
Yeah.
skating.
It's not. It's not. I just do it. I do it Instagram post style, where like World Star style, where I go in and I just throw bags of ice all over a convenience store floor.
Yeah.
And then in my regular shoes, just go sliding across it and
Yeah.
shit.
That's beautiful.
A triple Lutz and a fucking convenience store, people will applaud that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't ever go Googling that. Don't ever go looking like for me. It's hard to find.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to find. It's premium content now.
Buried. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like from the early days of the internet.
We're live, aren't we? These motherfuckers, man.
Yeah.
They'll
What are we
sneak you on the live. They'll
Hey,
sneak you
welcome
on
to
the live.
Brandon Bruffett's show.
Yeah, nah. We're gonna get right to my guest today. Welcome to Under the Influencers. I am happy today to be sitting with one of the most talented women I know on the New Orleans comedy scene. A multi-talented writer, improv, yes, and stand-up comedian Amy Collins.
Hi.
Yeah. Welcome. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. We got you some shitty coffee.
Yes.
And we're just doing the thing. I'm even drinking it with you. It's 153 degrees outside.
It's 123 inside.
Yes.
And we're drinking terrible coffee.
Well, the coffee is
it's
the
a whole
same.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, I'm glad to be sharing this experience with you. One of many that we've been able to share recently. Cheers.
Yes, L'chaim.
Was glad to be working with you over the now legendary NOLA Comedy Fest 2.
Yep, that was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Your set was well.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Is that a question or a statement?
No, it was a statement.
Okay, yeah.
It was a statement. It was a statement. I didn't see it.
Okay.
But all the reports were good. I didn't hear of anybody having a bad set.
Oh, well, you didn't hear all the reports.
Who had a bad set?
I'm not talking shit about a podcast about who had
Nobody
bad
watches
sets.
this.
But I think, it was just a recipe for huge success for everyone. I mean, Comedy House went over the top getting press for
Yeah.
it. They did such a good job. They had sold out houses for almost every single show.
Yeah.
Wednesday through Saturday night, 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. So when you have an audience that's just so thirsty for it,
Yeah.
and it's
Thirsty.
dominoes. You just need the first comic to just set it off, and
Right.
everyone just rolls. It was great. It was really beautiful. And most of the people that came were there for the first time, and mostly local, which is just
Really?
fucking great
That
for
wa-
all of us, all the comics in the scene.
Oh, yeah.
And there were 50 on that festival.
Yeah.
50 local
50 comics.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it was. It was great. We loved having such access to all of y'all. It was a great experience for Pickle and I to be able to, to have y'all kind of corralled, and just coming in and out of our room like that. It was such a good time.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah, looking forward to the next one already. But right now, Amy and I are
Mm-hmm.
actually mortal enemies. We have temporary beef.
It's more like a honey roast turkey.
Temporary turkey, yeah,
Yeah.
that'll work. Temporary turkey. We have
Yeah.
temporary turkey with each
Yeah.
other, and it's just the leg.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not the full bird.
Yeah, we don't even have the wishbone.
Yeah.
So yes, roast battle. We are in full
Turkey
swing.
roast battle. Yeah.
We were in turkey roast. Yeah, we're in full swing of comedy battle. Roast league roast league fantasy
Roast fantasy league. Season 2.
Roast fantasy league.
Yep. Nailed it.
Good. I'm glad. And this is also our second go at this. This is the second roast battle the Comedy House.
Oh yeah,
has
we were
put
both
on.
in season 1.
We were.
Yeah.
I don't remember going up against you.
I don't think we ever did because your
Yeah.
team just kind of shit the bed early on and just sort of fell apart. My team almost won
This
the
interview
whole
is over.
thing.
Yeah, y'all
you
did.
you chose the topic.
Nah, yeah,
There's
nah.
so much more we could talk about.
Oh yeah, yeah, and we will get there. How do you like doing the? Because you're a captain this year.
I am a captain.
How do you like the whole roast battle? It's very consuming.
It's very consuming. Yeah, it's a great exercise in writing a lot of jokes in a short amount of time. These aren't the kind of jokes I typically write. I don't roast people. I don't typically write really short jokes, which I think work best for this. Honestly, I don't. I'm not. I work a little differently, probably than most comedians. I don't necessarily sit down and have joke writing time. I'm more. They kind of just come to me, and I capture them when they come, and then I work on them a little bit, usually on stage,
Yeah.
and tweak in that way. So, in some ways, sitting down with a group of people and being like, "We're writing jokes now," is painful for me.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love editing. Editing's fun. Like one of my team members the other night was like throwing jokes at me that were coming to them during the other battle that we were witnessing. And I was just like, right, yeah, and then do this or tweak this or whatever. And then realizing, oh, you didn't ask me for help.
Right.
And they were like, no, that's good, that's better.
Yeah.
It's just like because I am a writer and I've
Right.
been a professional writer for over a decade. So I have that muscle is very strong.
That's what I was figuring. That came from the author in you.
Yeah.
So yeah. What originally? You came through improv first? Yeah.
I did.
So what led you to that?
To improv? Oh, this is great. So I'd say in retrospect, that was the beginning of my midlife breakdown, but it was just like starting to kind of trail in, right? I had just gotten out of a very short and very intense relationship, for the lack of a better word.
Yeah. Not with Edie.
Not with Edie.
Okay.
Whoever the fuck Edie
Yeah.
is.
Right.
It's a callback
exactly.
to a joke. For
Yeah.
those out there listening, they're
Yeah.
already lost. They're like,
Sorry for the no context. But.
yeah. So I, it really brought up a lot of like anxiety and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, I kind of think it's time to see a therapist. I got some shit I need to work out. And I went to see the therapist. Ironically, it's kind of a fun story. The woman that I was seeing was a therapist who I had. We connected on Tinder, which is the worst place to meet someone in the date,
Yeah.
right? So we
Yeah.
connected on Tinder. It really should have been like a fun weekend and that was it. But you know how lesbians are. They have to like fucking force it into something.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Well, but you know women. So
I
imagine
do know
imagine two
women,
of them
yeah, okay.
navigating together.
Yeah.
But when we had exchanged numbers on Tinder and started texting, she was already in my phone because a friend had given me her number a couple years before and said, "Oh, this is my therapist. I love her." And I had reached out to her to see her as a therapist, but she didn't take my insurance, so it didn't work out.
Yeah.
So now we're connected on Tinder, and I'm like, "Is this appropriate? Is it okay to go on a date?" And she's like,
Yeah.
"Well, I think it's fine."
Yeah.
Okay, possible red flag number one.
So it's like your therapy cousin, your therapist cousin.
Yeah,
something
but
like
it
that.
was
Yeah, it's-
there. But she didn't try to therapize me, which was
Yeah.
great. And I suspect she might be a great therapist. I don't know, but she was a fucking shit show. And
Wow.
yeah, and I was like, a pea show. Like I wasn't that
Yeah.
bad, but I wasn't great, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, well, here's a name of a therapist that I've heard great recommendations from. She doesn't take my insurance, but you go see her. And I did, and I fucking love that woman, and she was amazing
Yeah.
and helped me through my whole nervous breakdown. But she said randomly one day, pretty sure I was making a joke because I have this like vivid memory of we're having this conversation and she's just like staring at me blankly, and I was like, "You don't think I'm funny?" And she said, "I think you're hilarious, but we're talking about your anger issues."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she said, have you ever tried an improv class? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. And 2 days later, a friend was like, have you ever tried an improv class? I was like, okay, universe,
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I knew about the new movement because it was in my neighborhood. I had driven by there. I think I actually went on a date with that woman to the Queer Mountain storytelling show during Decadence or whatever. Anyway, so I just like checked out the website. They had a free class that weekend. I signed up. I went. I fell in love.
Yeah.
And I did the whole, program they did there, like 5 levels, did intensive, just really enjoyed it. Did a lot of shows there, started producing shows there. Did a book launch show for my novel that I wrote several years ago. So I've been working with those folks since 2017.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Feels like such a long answer. I now don't remember what the question was.
No, that was what got you to the stage. Okay, so and from there, stand up was just I mean, I guess you were a fan of stand up before. So what led to that transition?
Yeah, so I mean, I like comedy, right? Like I can't say I like watched a ton of stand up. Like a little bit different path than I think a lot of comedians I hear talk about, where they're just like, oh, I fell in love with watching this comedian. I just started watching comedy and reading about comedy. Like that wasn't really my path. I reluctantly kind of tried stand up when I was still at the Improv Theater before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I remember one person saying, like, I think you'd be better at stand up than improv. I think you'd be happier, which at the time, and even now in retrospect, I think they were just trying to get rid of me. And I took, somebody was teaching a stand-up class, and I was like, cool, I'll take that. And I sat through one class, and I was like, I'm not taking a class on this. This is not what I want to do. So I was reluctant. And then it was like JQ started doing stand-up and was doing it during the pandemic. And I feel like she really, several times said to me, was like, I really think you should do this. I think you're going to be a natural. And I think Karen Chapman maybe mentioned it once or twice to me. And I still was like kind of dragging my feet. And part of me was like, if I start doing that, I'm going to be consumed. And I'm over here trying to build this copywriting business and and do this other thing. And then I finally ended up on the stage at CHNO because Tammy reached out to me and asked me to do a storytelling show for Decadence.
Yeah.
It was a lesbian or queer show or whatever. And I was like, sure, sounds great. And then that didn't happen because Ida rolled through and we all left town. But then they rebooked the storytelling show in a different format, and I came and went that. I did that, and then I kind of just started like inching my way back on. And it was that Halloween show that they did at Comedy House last October that we were talking about earlier. I did this character, Mr. New Jersey. Which was all comics, but Chris was like, I think you can pull this off because you have this improv background.
Yeah.
And I know you can do character. Like, I was kind of known for doing great character work and slipping into characters and accents. And so I was like, okay, sure, like, who do I do? And it was like, oh, well, obviously this one character I always do because he's so easy for me. I don't even have to think about what I'm doing. I literally become the character.
Yeah.
So that's who I did hosting, and I wrote a few jokes, and after that, it was just like, oh, this is so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun.
It is fun to play like that. Pickle and I and Jennifer Turbo, we were on a video shoot a while back where we were playing old folks. And it was just, we were in character, but we were in costume all day. So, I mean, character was coming.
Yeah.
And man, it was just so much fun to play around with them like that. That was, I think that's where I love the word play for audience. I mean, for not for audience, but for stage work, whether it's comedy or I love that people call it play.
Yeah.
Thanks for playing. So it takes me back to being a kid because that was, even though I was being an old man, it took me back to being a kid. Like just playing around.
It's make believe, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that kind of, and that's like, so all of this is to say stand up adjacent, right? And then how I went from there, I don't know. I think some jokes just kind of like fell on me, and I wrote them down, and I did Ugly Dog, the mic that Ryan Rogers hosts on Fridays.
Absolutely, yeah.
And somebody saw me and was like, you're hilarious. I need to book you on my show. I was like, cool. And then it just started rolling. Yeah. And I started hitting mics and like doing stuff. And anyway, that's it.
So tell me about this career as an author, your double life.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that makes it sound fancier than it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Like, anybody can
Hey,
self-publish a book.
we're dressing it up. We're dressing it up here. You
Yeah.
self-published.
Yeah. So my first
Commendable.
book that I published is a dirty novel, it's a lesbian erotica novel. It's kind of somewhere between implicit and explicit. Like, it
Right.
hasn't really decided what it wants to be.
Yeah.
It's got a literary flair to it. It takes place in New Orleans. I would say New Orleans is a character, which was intentional. It's called Red Devil Desire. So I wrote that and put that out in 2017. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I did several book launch parties here and then back in Alabama where I lived before I moved to New Orleans. So I had a lot of friends. Live readings, just really lots of giggles, really a good time.
Yeah.
Right now, I am there's a pre-sale going on, pre-order for my next book called Rude But Charming, which is a collection of essays. So I have an email newsletter that goes out once a week, and it's a personal story or essay, and I just hit the first year of that in June. So I've just collected them all into a book, and I'm selling that because I like books, and I
Yeah.
want to see it in book form, and so I'm doing it, and it's kind of an experiment just to see what happens. It's there's a marketing element too, right? It brings attention to my business, to what I do, storytelling, all of this. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun.
So now I did storytelling. You were talking about taking classes for stand-up, and wouldn't do it. Now I did 2 terms of stand-up and storytelling at Second City. What do you like better out of all of those disciplines? The of stage work, the storytelling, and improv and stand-up. What's your
On stage, right now it's stand up. And it may always be stand up, it may not always be that. What I like about stand up is you can twist the truth, right? I mean, you can do that with storytelling too. And ideally, you're writing punchlines into the story. Otherwise, I don't know why an audience would continue to listen.
Yeah.
But it's slower, right?
It
It's
is.
slower. It feels, and maybe for that reason, because it's slower and the laughs are more drawn out, it feels more performative. Whereas when I'm doing stand-up comedy, it feels a little more like a conversation with the audience, right? Especially if they're like laughing with me on every beat, then that means they're here with me.
Right.
I love to improv during the sets when people say shit. I love to play with the audience. I think that's one of the things I love about hosting is it's less about your set and more about getting the audience in the right place of mind, and making
Right.
sure they feel good, they're having fun, feeling out what the temperature is,
Well, you do a great job hosting.
Thank you.
For sure. I really enjoyed being on Comedy Mixtape.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's a really cool concept show. And you've done that. You've been doing that how long?
So that was only the second one that we did.
That was only the second
It
one.
just
I thought-
started.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it just started. Volume 3 is coming up September 18th. I don't know when this is coming out, but that
be out
one's the
before that.
explicit content edition.
Oh.
So it'll be dirty,
Yeah.
rowdy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. But that's, like everything it's a process. So what it is now may not be what it ends up being. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's just a comedy show,
I like the theme show aspect. We're seeing more of that around the city, and thanks to you, Ryan Rogers, of course, Chris True. He's always coming with some
Master, yeah.
new concept. And then we even have a couple of people that come through on swings. Anna Lapelli, that comes through and does the comedians and drag show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like to see that. It definitely spices up the entertainment value of a show.
Yeah, it gives it a cohesiveness, I think,
Right.
and it makes it easier to market. To be honest, it gives it an element of specialness, even if it's not that different, right? I've got a feature, 2 features, and a headliner, and I host. Like that's basically the concept.
Yeah.
So it's that I'm not reinventing anything. There's no theme going into it. The theme is
Right.
only really for the branding, which is Comedy Mixtape, because it's just fun and you have
Yeah.
volumes and each edition, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all it
Mixtape.
is.
Who even remembers what that is?
Yeah.
What is that thing on there? Yeah, the cassette.
And originally we had conversation about like, making a playlist for the audience and all the comedians contributing, and I just keep forgetting. So it's like,
That's
we're just not
cool.
going to do that.
That would be cool.
It would be cool. Maybe
Yeah.
it'll happen this time.
Yeah, like what? Like 3 songs a piece or whatever. Yeah.
1, 3, whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, I think partly I was conscientious of not putting too much homework on the comedians.
Yeah.
Just because because I just don't want to.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. No, it was a great show though. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. We had a good audience.
Yeah, I really enjoyed sharing the stage with Seabass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got funny.
Yeah, it was great.
And got pulled too. He's got some following, man.
Yeah, he does. He does. We had a really good turnout. We had a good turnout for the first one too. Sunday night shows are really hard to sell.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know what the fuck people are doing on Sunday in New Orleans.
Nothing.
But
Watching football, and if that's not
Not
it,
in the
they're
summer.
Not in the summer. If they're not watching football, and they're at home
Yeah.
largely. Music. There's a lot of music that does all right. Does pretty good on Sunday nights.
Yeah.
But anything during the summer really is brutal anyway. Much less
Yeah.
a Sunday night. So,
well, maybe we'll move up someday, but
yeah.
that's where we are now.
So when can we look forward to this next book?
Yeah, probably the end of this month, early September. I'm doing all the text formatting myself, so I'm reading through it. I told myself I wasn't going to do any editing, but I can't help it. So I'm
Yeah.
doing some light editing, just making sure the justified margins, that it looks professional, right?
Right.
And I got to finish the back book cover, which shouldn't take long. So soon, very, very soon.
Yeah. You said you like to see it in book form, so
Mm-hmm.
you're a fan of the copy, actual copy of whatever it is.
I like physical books.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I saw this thing the other. It was an ad that said that whatever, I think Books A Million or whatever bookstore it was has Barnes and Noble has books 50% off.
Wow.
And then somebody in the comments said, "Who in the fuck wants a book?" And that made me so sad.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, man. I mean,
Books are, I love them. I just love the
Yeah.
feel. I love the ritual of sitting down and reading a book. And I'm focused on that, and I'm in one spot. They're part of my home decor,
Right.
Like, I reread some of them. I go back to passages, but I'm a thinker, I'm a writer, so it's just part of my daily
yeah.
routine,
First, we're gonna lose books, and then eventually we're gonna lose pens. We're gonna be totally dependent on devices.
Right?
It won't be good. So, do you have you got any other shows that you're wanting to any ideas to produce? Any desire to produce any more shows?
Yeah, not. I mean, I'm sure eventually. I've got a bunch of stuff I'm trying to get off the ground. I've got a digital storytelling course called Story Gold that I need to tweak and really start pushing that, and a couple other product ideas. So I'm kind of like split between, I love comedy, but I also really believe in this, and I have limited energy, right?
Right.
So I'm kind of focused on that, but I am producing a show for my book, right? So it's a book launch, but instead of just a traditional like show up and get a book signed or hear me read, it's
Right.
going to be an amalgamation of comedy and hear me reading from the book and conversation with the audience. And I'm really excited. I hope it sells. I hope people are interested. The ticket price will come with a copy of the book. So I'm producing that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, that sounds
I'm
like
excited.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the drawing together of different aspects. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's, here's the thing is like, I have these different projects. I have the comedy, and then I have the writing, and then I have the client work, and I have the products, but they're all me. Like you were saying earlier, you asked me if I had a comedy production website or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't. It's all under one brand, which is the real Amy Collins, right? So I'm just trying to like keep it all cohesive, and the cohesive thing is me, and
Yeah.
I am the same person in every aspect,
Yeah.
right? Like the attitude you get here is the attitude the client gets on the $10,000 email campaign project. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's there's not. I don't put on like my dress personality or
Right,
whatever. You know,
right.
it's just this is what you get. It's real. So it makes sense to me to like blend all those things, and I don't know, it's fun. I'm excited.
We've had that conversation before about you and how the real you transcends all of these different hats that you wear and social settings that you're in. It's one of the things that I really appreciate about you. You definitely you stand out in your independence of like politics
Yeah.
very well.
You mean lonerism? By independence,
We
you mean I'm a loner?
we
Yeah.
recognize that in each other.
Yeah.
I feel, and hearing a little bit about your backstory. It seems like we've marched parallel paths. So it makes sense that when I'm often standing there by myself, I'll look around and be like, there's my friend.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think it was like last weekend we were at a comedy show,
Yeah.
and you and I were both just like off standing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're like watching. I don't know,
Yeah.
just like hanging out. Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was off standing. I felt like I was off putting.
Oh, that's funny. No, I felt like I was just chilling.
Yeah, I did too. Honestly, I'm
That's
always,
really funny.
maybe it's just the attitude towards straight white men that I hear so much these days that had me feeling that way. But yeah, I usually don't feel like I feel the same way. Usually, I'm just chilling.
Yeah,
And I don't mind
observing.
doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Or judging. I might be just judging.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm judging all the time.
Yeah, right. Who's not though? Honestly, I hate the oh, don't judge me. Well, I can't help it. I carry a thing in my head that makes judgments. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not judging on the wrong things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or just checking your actions,
Yeah.
right, based on that judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I tend to keep a low profile. And the I feel like I don't make a lot of moves, but I want them to count if I do.
Yeah.
So and that seems to be kind of the case with you as well. You seem pretty methodical in your approach to your projects.
Yeah, I think that's true. I move slowly, but then when I make moves, things tend to happen pretty quickly.
Yeah. Do you find that? Do you find that in writing as well as with entertainment?
Absolutely.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool because it seems to me like that would be a slower process. But if you're self-publishing, I guess that speeds up a lot of that process.
Oh,
yeah.
well, there's no gatekeepers,
Yeah.
right? There's no back and forth. That definitely speeds it up. But I don't, I'm not a perfectionist. I'm very much a believer in good enough. Let's ship and then rework as we go and learn for the next time. And I definitely take that approach to comedy too, which is like a lot of stuff I'm working out in shows.
Yeah.
I don't hit a ton of open mics,
Yeah. So you write on stage.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah. Or right before something will strike me, and I'll just do it on stage and see what happens. And if something resonates or hits or it feels right, then take that back, rework it, and just go from there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you're funny, you kind of have an inherent sense of what's funny. I mean, I think so, but I don't know because I know a lot of comics will say something they think's really funny, and then it's just not.
Yeah, and there's a lot of variance to that too. How did they say it? What was the emphasis? Where was the emphasis in the sentence? What words were used? All of those things are huge variables.
I think delivery is everything.
Oh,
Whether you're
yeah.
talking about writing or you're talking about stand up or whatever, even if you're just talking about a conversation, delivery is everything. I guarantee you, if I gave you my joke notebook and you read through it, you'd be like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see me do these jokes on stage and you're like, that's hilarious.
Right.
Because it is about that specific word
Mm-hmm.
choice and the timing and the emphasis and just
The
the
action.
attitude you bring.
Yeah.
Right. What are you doing with your body? Like,
Yeah.
what's your tone? And It's everything.
You said attitude, and general attitude is huge. It really is, because I know that I do some questionable jokes, and I can say them in a silly manner. If they know that I'm being silly, then they sell. But if it's aggressive, mm-mm, mm-mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and it's funny
thing.
that like, so why some of your jokes that you could tell they come off, and another comic could tell those same jokes, and they're not gonna land. Like it's so, I mean, it's so fascinating, and it's, I think it comes down to like energy, just get kind of woo. But like, what's not woo is that everything is energy, right?
Yeah.
Like it's all that's physics, that's science, whatever. But it just translates through everything we put out, like emotions, like where our mind's at when we say the thing, and yeah, I mean it's just all part of it. But I think there are a lot of comics who are funny joke writers who have horrible stage presence.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just mediocre stage presence, and
Yeah.
so they can't make it work.
That
But they're
might
not.
be my problem.
They're not unfunny.
Yeah.
Your stage presence is kind of like he's like a lovable sloth.
Okay, lovable slot. Yeah, okay. Okay. I'm gonna analyze that.
Yeah,
And
don't go too hard on it.
And then in a week, I'm gonna ask you what that actually means, and then I'm gonna compare our answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I honestly don't remember saying that. And it'll probably be genuine.
Yeah. I hear you. That early onset Alzheimer's, man.
It's real.
It's real at our age.
It's real.
So,
Why am I sitting on this toilet? Like, what did I come in here to do? I can't remember.
that's not a toilet. No.
Oh, that's good to know. Good place
Yeah.
to start.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So who would you say are your comedic influences?
Ooh. So recently, I would say I was watching some old Paula Poundstone for a while because she does incredible crowd work.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of her set, even in a massive theater. She's talking to people in the audience on her HBO specials.
Yeah.
She's like talking like, "What's your job?" and like making jokes, and I fucking love that. Like, I mean, you want serious audience engagement. Like you've brought them in on the joke.
Yeah.
That's how you get them on your side. They're now part of the creative process, even if they're not consciously aware that this is what's happening. That is what's happening. You can't get better engagement and a more real connection than that in that environment, right? So I love what she's doing. I just finished watching the Zen Diaries of Gary Shandling.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen that, but Shandling was a big influence on me growing up.
It's so good. It's so good. And I'm having to like check my ego a little bit because I'm like, I think I might be Gary Shandling. But he was a genius, right?
Yeah.
But I watched
Yeah.
the Larry Sanders Show growing up on HBO. I didn't know what the fuck I didn't understand half of it.
Right.
I was probably,
Right.
I don't know, high school maybe, junior high. I don't know. I mean, my television was not monitored.
Yeah.
But I loved it. So there was something that was resonating for me.
Absolutely, because Gary Shandling, like, I mean, you almost, you just felt like compassion for the guy. You know, you never knew what he was going to end up in. So it was almost like he was bumbling through it, but everything came out all right.
Well, and the whole
Yeah.
thing was a farce, right?
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Larry
exactly.
Sanders Show.
Absolutely.
Like, so I was telling you before we came back here and started recording that I was listening to your interview on this podcast with Shep Kelly, and you guys were talking at the top about Red Fox and
Yeah.
Sanford and Sons. Gary Shandling wrote some of those episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I didn't know that until I watched this documentary. And then you hear Red Fox, delivering these lines that Gary Shandling wrote, and you're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
You can
But-
hear the Shandling in him.
Yeah. But
Wow.
also, so he was like a huge Buddhist and a Buddhist meditator
Right.
and just a searcher, and that really fucking resonates
Yeah.
for me. So
The searcher part of it.
yeah, and just the Buddhist, philosophy and the just like
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to be happy, and at the same time, like he was constantly like breaking barriers and redefining what comedy is.
Yeah.
It was incredible. So that's top of mind right now. Huge fan of Tiffany Haddish stand-up. I don't know that I've seen any of her movies, to be honest. But her Black Mitzvah, I think, is superb.
Yeah, she's funny as hell.
Yeah,
She
and I don't know
really-
if you've seen that special on Netflix, Black Mitzvah, but she really goes into her childhood and she hits on some dark shit, and I love that. I love
Yeah.
it when you can take dark shit and just like make it into humor. Like that's the ultimate, transformation. That's the
Right.
ultimate therapy, really. That's a sign that you've actually worked through some shit and you're on the other side.
Yeah. Oh, she talks a lot about therapy. I know that her husband. They split up for a while, and she told him, you're gonna have to go see some. You're gonna have to go get some counseling. And
I didn't know she was married.
she had not been married at the time. The guy wanted her to get married, and he wanted to marry her, and she was like, he wasn't shit. We was fighting all the time. Da 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 da. He had to go get some counseling, but I had to go get some counseling too.
Yeah.
And then he started a record production company, a music record label, and she was like, you're gonna have to get a job. You're gonna have to get some counseling. You're gonna have to buy me something I had never had before. And then they got married and was like, I'm doing well now. You don't have to do this comedy shit. Oh, touche, but no, thank you.
Yeah.
She's really funny. She talks a lot about therapy. I haven't seen Black Mitzvah though.
I recommend it.
Yeah, no, I'll
It's
check it
good.
out. I'll
It's
check
good.
it out. If
Yeah.
you haven't seen her movies, I'm not a big movie guy, but do watch that Bad Trip with Eric Andre.
Okay.
And I can't remember the other guy that's in it. Maybe Lil Rel, maybe. But Tiffany Haddish is in it, and she is just hysterical.
Okay.
Yeah, check it out.
Cool.
So yeah, Gary Shandling. That's an interesting reference there. I wouldn't have expected that, honestly, but it does make sense. Writing. So far as writing, who would you say is your biggest influence there?
So I think, I consider myself probably an essayist first and foremost. Big fan of Annie Dillard. She, got literary famous pretty quickly in the mid 70s for her book Pilgrim at Tinker Creek. I think she was a grad student when she wrote that, and it's kind of like a thorough experience of living in a cabin in the woods, and it's just, she brings this like child's wonderment to everything she encounters.
Yeah.
I love her. Susan Sontag sometimes, but sometimes it's just a little too dense for me. I have to look up a lot of the words, which slows me down.
Yeah.
Gosh, who else? I do like Joan Didion. She grew on me. I wasn't a big fan initially, but I do like her stuff. I've been compared to her, which I think is just really an over exaggerated compliment, but
Yeah.
very sweet.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, historically, I always really liked Philip Roth. He's a fiction writer, was a fiction writer. I guess he's still alive. He quit writing, which was very controversial because writers never stop.
Really?
I mean, I think he
That's
must
the
have
thing.
had Alzheimer's or something and,
Just
wanted to
couldn't do it
avoid going
anymore.
out like, what's her name? They made a movie about her that Helen Mirren played, and her dementia was so bad that she just would repeat the same thing over and over again.
In a book, or
In real life.
In real life.
So she was
okay.
unable to write
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah. I was just to say like that wouldn't. Yeah.
I can't remember her name, but anyway, I feel like we've just lost all your comedy listeners.
Oh no. Well,
I just this is the equivalent of like a
So-
cock block when it's like
No, this is to comedy. This podcast is to comedy what storytelling is, to stand up. We're really not comedy centric.
yeah, I didn't know
Because
we
not
were doing
not all
SATs.
things are funny. But you're an essayist. So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, we just lost it right there. There's a lull. Storytelling.
We can cut that.
So far as storytelling, did you come to that through writing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's inherent, right? Like we're all storytellers. This is the human brain works through storytelling.
Right.
We don't remember data, right? We don't remember data points, most of us. That's not how we understand the world. We understand the world through emotional relationships, right? And so you tell me a story and then my brain processes that into certain feelings and
Yeah.
relatability and whatever, and that's just how the brains work.
Yeah.
It's so
But then we tell that story differently when we leave that situation. It gets
oh yeah,
changed
it's
somehow.
yeah. And have you ever known someone who tells someone else's story and adopts it as if it was their own?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
yeah.
fascinating?
It is. It
And they
really
don't
is.
know that they're doing it.
Yeah, but you know what? When it comes to like stage performance, that works so much better. If you're telling that story, if it's a story you want to tell, it makes more sense to adopt it first person. So, but I get you. We're not talking about on stage, but maybe that's the same kind of phenomenon. Like if you're telling a secondhand story, well, it loses some credibility and a little bit of the right immediateness of it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, because
but it is fascinating.
yeah, yeah.
Have you done that?
What was your question?
Did you come to storytelling through writing?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think so. I mean, I think we start telling stories as young kids,
Right.
right? Like this is what I experience in the world today, and I'm going to tell you about it. And
Yeah.
we don't know that we're telling a story necessarily. But I think as far as the craft of storytelling, how do you tell a better story?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, probably just by osmosis through reading,
Yeah. There was a lady when I was in storytelling, class. There was a lady. She was a Chechnyan refugee, and this woman had the most amazing stories. They were not funny, not at all, but you were captivated the entire time, and it wasn't even that. She was kind of hard she was kind of hard to listen to because you couldn't really understand a lot of it. You had to really be paying attention to even understand what she was saying. But the stories were so good. They were rich. They weren't filled with bullshit that didn't matter. It was like she was a natural at it, and that was what I even enrolled in those classes for, was to get better at structure of that.
Yeah.
And then taking that and stand up at the same time, it really showed me what trimming the fat is.
Yeah.
I feel like there's got to be a happy medium there. Do you do any storytelling events outside? I mean, you said you had produced over at the New Movement.
I produced improv shows.
Okay, no storytelling shows though.
No.
Oh, okay.
I haven't really done a lot of storytelling
Right.
on stage. I've done a couple. It's fine. I don't like it as much. I don't know why.
You want that more immediate interaction, yeah, the response from the crowd.
I mean, the
yeah.
stand-up's pretty fucking addictive.
It
When you've
is.
got people laughing, like go back to my comment to my therapist, right? Like, why aren't you laughing? I just said something really funny.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's a lot of it, but you can be a funny storyteller, and certainly some of my jokes have story elements, but
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
way shorter, right?
Right. Yeah, that's what we were doing. That was our main assignments. Were like 5-minute, write a 5-minute story.
Oh yeah.
And I found that to write it. I found it more difficult than actually just trying to tell it. With that was what got me into bullet points for jokes, was because
Yeah.
I was long writing jokes and then trying to stick to that script, and then the difference in telling the story versus writing the story, to me, that was really what was like the kind of the aha moment in like writing jokes.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, with being an author, with writing being a background, but joke writing on stage, are you? Do you find that you do more of that, or was your writing process for jokes different in the beginning?
Yeah, no, I'd say always a lot of writing on stage, writing in the
Mm.
moment. Shit just comes to me.
Yeah.
And if it makes me laugh, then I'm probably not going to be the only one, so I'll write it down. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of my essays, my weekly essays work the same way,
Okay.
you know? There is a deadline because they go out on Fridays.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of pressure there to talk about something that I'm thinking about this week, you know? And that, I think my process for joke writing may change when I make more space for it.
Yeah.
Right now, it's kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of over here.
Yeah. Just kind of, it's just kind of over here, huh? Well, you seem so active with it. You know, it seems like it's right in the forefront.
I mean, I think I'm in denial actually about how much on the forefront it is.
Yeah.
Because you're right, I'm busy. I'm
You're
in
busy.
shows almost every week.
All the time.
All the time. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know how to answer that. I've been thinking this a lot lately, like how much time I am spending on comedy,
Yeah.
and that I feel like I should, rein it in a little
It
bit.
seems like comedy's calling you.
I mean, it's a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
really, really enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's not lucrative. So there's that.
It's not.
I still have to pay for all the things, like
Yeah.
no one's paying for anything for me.
Right.
I am my own housekeeper, my own cook, my own housewife, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, better to be your own housewife than have a bad one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure.
Do they even make housewives anymore?
I don't think so, but I'm hoping they bring them back because I would like one.
Oh, wow. That might be the most feminist comment we've heard on this podcast so far.
Oh yeah, I'm feminist hardcore.
Hardcore,
Yeah.
huh? Hardcore.
Yeah, I don't quite fit into any of the boxes exactly. Like not to mention Shep Kelly again, but I will.
Yeah.
At the risk of sounding obsessive. But she has a great line in one of her sets about the LGBT and all the rules that came with it, and and she knows she was gonna have to wear like a rainbow uniform. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
that's exactly what she was, and go to like special restaurants. She just signed up to eat pussy.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
that's
I know.
like I so
Yeah.
relate to that.
Right.
Like when I first came out, I remember someone asking me, like, she's supposed to connect me with a woman, right? She's like, I was out in San Francisco for like a month, living in New York, out in San Francisco, and she was like, what kind of women do you like? I'm like, like femme, like I like a woman who feels like a woman, right? And she was like, well, you're gonna have to dress more butch.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm supposed to be free. I just jumped over this massive hurdle, and and now you're telling me there's rules? Go fuck yourself. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing it that way. And that's pretty much true of my whole life.
And so you found pushback in San Francisco.
Yeah, which is
Wow.
a very butch femme city,
Yeah.
right? Or it was, And New York was like, the lesbians were really hard to find. They were undercover. I mean, this was in, I don't know, 2000. This was 2001, actually.
So now we're definitely getting somewhere. So sections of the country, different places are more predominantly a certain type of gay.
I mean, they certainly used to be. I don't know if
Really?
they are anymore. I don't really study the gay scene. Like, I'm not. That's
That's what's up.
like I don't care about gays.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I am a horrible fucking gay.
Yeah.
Like, I have had my card.
Horrible
I've
fucking
had
gay.
my card revoked, almost revoked, more times than I can count. Like I don't get it. So I'm a loner.
in every
In the
aspect.
truest sense.
In
In the
all
truest
aspects. I
sense.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it. You say when you said that it's a very butch. Because it's a very flamboyantly gay, like at least male gay scene, seemingly. At least from what I've seen.
Well, I mean, the loudest ones are always the ones you notice the most, right? So,
Well, yeah.
I mean, but there's
Yeah.
all kinds of gays.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
there's a little
absolutely.
spectrum.
Absolutely, and I don't know. I mean, me growing up, it was like the gay folks that I knew. That was more how it was. It was just like I'm just gay, you know.
Yeah.
There wasn't any identifying factor really. I mean, I had a couple of friends that were definitely effeminate, but like it wasn't like, oh, I'm wearing a certain type of pants or I'm dressing a certain kind of way. They were just gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's going to depend on where you are, right? Didn't you grow up in kind of a small town?
Well, I mean, I grew up. I mean, when I say grow up, mainly here.
Okay.
I was here and very involved in the mid to late '90s rave scene.
Yeah.
So my interaction with I mean, a lot of gay folks was definitely during that area,
Yeah.
during that era. Yeah, but I did, my early teenage years were definitely spent in a very small bobble belty place.
Yeah.
They'd whip you with it, with that belt. Yeah. Yeah, me and William Baldwin were talking about that just the other day. He's from same area. So that's why we're not there.
Right,
Yeah.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
But yeah, I mean, and definitely there though. My exposure, to the gay culture there, it wasn't anything that you would be like shocked. Oh, well, those people are definitely gay.
Yeah.
I mean, well, whatever. It just wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what surprised me the most is that I came out very early in my comedy doing lesbian jokes. Like, I don't write about it very much
Yeah.
in my essays at all. I don't write about my sexuality. It's not really top of mind. Like, to me, that's not an identifying factor, right? Who I fuck is not my identity,
Right.
And I mean, yes, I did write that dirty lesbian novel, but that was a whole other
Yeah.
thing, right? But it surprised me that, like, almost from jump, the jokes that started coming to me were of that essence, right? And I don't know where they came from, but I think I'm kind of branded as a queer comic, whatever the fuck queer means. No one
Yeah.
can tell me. I mean, I'm that old. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't have any particular feeling about it either way, but it's funny. It's funny
Yeah.
to me that has happened very organically. That it's just not a thing that's not my first foot forward.
Yeah.
I
I think it's we all write sex jokes,
Yeah,
and I think
yeah.
that's just it's just whether or not our identity is about who we're fucking or not. Sex is so much a part of everybody.
Yeah.
That those are going to come and being whatever proclivity somebody might be of, that's going to be the nature of those jokes.
Yeah.
The thing that I find about it is if they are. I find that if it's a joke that is written definitely like organically and not forced, then it doesn't matter if it's a gay joke, a lesbian joke, or whatever. It is gonna be fucking funny and relatable because of the context of it.
Yeah, and I think, like, even when I write lesbian jokes, it's not for a lesbian crowd. There's
Right.
definitely a relatable essence. It's more about human relation than it is about body parts.
Right. Yeah, there's too much emphasis on body parts these days, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. I don't. Sometimes I don't even know what to do with mine. Like, I think I'm through with it.
Are you saying, like, I never have to hear the how big your thumb is joke again?
No, I would still. I would say that joke. I was thinking about getting one of my thumbs placed there,
Placed where?
like right on top of my dick.
Oh, like a thumb extension.
Yeah, like I don't want to. No, not an extension. Right on top of it, like a rabbit.
I feel like that's a product in the making.
And
It's like a cock ring, but
Like-
it's a thumb.
we don't do necessarily penis enhancement, but we will take your thumb.
We'll just give you an extra appendage.
Yeah.
I think that could be very confidence boosting.
Could it? I mean, testosterone therapy could be too.
True.
A good night on stage could be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That'll do the trick every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I would almost rather cut off my dick than have to deal with the relationship with another woman. Honestly, yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
Like most people when they're like when I say something like that, they're like, oh yeah, you're gay. It's like no, that's not the case.
I mean, if you
but,
don't have
like,
a dick, I guess you're a little asexual.
well, I have a dick though.
But you just said you were going to cut it off to avoid having a relationship with a woman.
I would almost rather than.
I'm just telling you what you said.
I don't think that it's going to be mandatory or even
I think what you're saying
officially
is
decided
that
on.
you have had a very complicated record with having relationships with women, and you don't want to do it anymore. You are burnt out.
Burn out.
It's not going well.
Burn out.
You
Burn
are
out.
giving up.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
I'm gonna be like Pickle in high school, just to hang out with lesbians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't get any pussy
no,
there.
No pressure. Yeah, and that's cool because, like, I'm not even trying. I don't know. Some people would say incel, and I think that there's a different word for that for me.
What does incel mean?
It means.
I heard this the other day on stage. I don't know what
I
they're
didn't know.
talking about.
I thought it was a terrorist for a long
I did
time, and then I
too.
heard people like, saying it to like people in their immediate vicinity. I was like, wait a minute, is that person a suicide bomber? Involuntary celibate.
Oh, okay. It's like hashtag incel. Right. I can't spell it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that they blame women for not being able to get laid. Well, that's not the case. I blame women for making me not want to be involved with them anymore.
Okay, well, you're not gonna like this, but
I might not.
you're responsible for the relationships you're having. If they're not going well, you're responsible for that.
But two people are responsible for that.
But
two
you can
people.
only be responsible for your part.
You're absolutely
So
right.
you can blame
You're-
her
you're-
all day,
well,
but that's never gonna change
Look,
anything.
no, you're right. And when I say that there has to be two people, it has to be two people working at it.
Agreed.
I can't be the only one.
Agreed.
So I would rather not have a rug than have to sweep a bunch of shit under it. And that was her approach. And it's like, eventually I'm gonna fucking find out that underneath that rug is dirty as fuck.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what happened. So yeah. So
So you're
it's
you're
like-
just still a little bit woman scorned over here.
that is my impression of an iguana.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
or
I mean,
a kimono dragon.
I wish you
Yeah.
a hasty letting go process so that you
Yeah.
can move on.
No, I just like it's like I have a ton of respect for you because I don't know how you do it.
Do what?
Relationships with women.
What makes you think I have relationships with women?
Well, right now you don't. Oh well, yeah, okay, fair enough. Player. Yeah.
Oh, more like an incel.
So are we the same person? Am I sitting here just looking into the eyes of me?
I think relationships are fucking hard. I think
They
being
are.
human is hard. I think being in the same room with other humans is hard. I don't think we talk about that enough. I don't think we give that enough credit.
We don't.
Everyone's fucking insane.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't want to take responsibility for their own insanity.
God damn, you're right.
So
You're
you're
right.
just kind of like, I mean, look at the divisiveness in the world today.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't getting along because they're not getting along with themselves, right? Grounded people who are taking care of themselves and taking responsibility for their shit and actively growing and changing get along with most everyone else, right? So, finding someone who's also on that level or even close to that level or at least committed to their own growth and responsibility, it's rare. And also it's like, I'm 46, like,
I am looking into the eyes of me.
yeah. So, like, I mean, I was talking with a friend the other day, and it's like, I don't want to wake up and see someone in my kitchen every day. You know, like I like my space. I like my solitude. So I don't know. Sometimes I think I do want a partner, you know, have
Yeah.
someone to check in on and check in with and
Right.
like go do stuff with. And then it's like,
Right.
well, but I have really good friendships for that.
Yeah.
And I actually don't need someone up my ass every day. And I don't want to text all day long. And
Uh-huh.
maybe I sound cynical. I don't know. And maybe if I like fall in love, that would change. But that's its own complicated construct that's a little bit of a gaslight, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, you get caught up in like emotions and hormones, and like that's, I mean, in love, that to me, that takes a long time to build. And that's about trust, and that's about showing up consistently. And, you know, that's most people, we don't have the patience for it. You know, we just want everything right now.
So immediate. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we want everyone to show up perfect, and we're not even perfect ourselves and
Yeah.
never will be. So, I don't know. I think there's a lot of fucking just growing up we all need to do.
As a whole people.
Yeah,
Across ages.
Yes. And,
Yeah.
and speaking specifically of, you know, Americans, right? Because our country is in
Yeah.
fucking crisis.
Yeah.
And we've always been in crisis, but it's so on the surface now.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of it. But yeah, so I don't know. I really don't date much. I say that on stage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, it's not interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like picking someone out of a, you know, a fucking profile based on a picture and some bullshit you said, and spending the time to go sit down and have drinks with you, and then knowing it's going to be 3 months before you actually show me who you really are.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not that interested.
Yeah, let me wade through this mystery, this facade. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
Yeah. Well, so this brings up an interesting question. I have to ask. In dating profiles, do butch women hold up do they have as many profile pics holding up fish as straight white dudes?
I don't have any idea.
Because we're getting shit on for that. I don't have one like that, or even with my shirt off, but it is a thing. Like there's a lot
Is
of
that
them out
why
there.
it's not working for you?
It-
You don't have a fish pick?
I don't have
Shirtless fish
my fish pick game is fucking weak. Yeah, I don't fish a lot. But
yeah.
but I don't even have a dating profile. I'm not one
I
of
don't
those
either.
things,
I can't remember the last time I've
Yeah.
been on one. Maybe a year and a half ago, and I think I actually connected with someone on OkCupid, and we had coffee, and I don't want to say I ghosted her, but maybe kinda. And I was working the door during the festival, the comedy festival at Comedy House, and she came up and she was like, "I know you." Oh, OkCupid. And I was like, "Oh, hey."
Yeah, you was like, oh,
You look good.
hell.
You
Yeah.
look good. Oh, your name's just on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
It's just right there.
Yeah.
And I said that out loud, and I don't feel bad. But, you know, I don't know. I'm just busy. Like,
Yeah.
I like building a business. I like being creative. I like doing comedy. I like not having to check in. I like just doing whatever the fuck I want. Like, I like that. So,
So, do you have plans on investing in like a life alert, or? I mean, not right now.
yeah. No,
But-
I gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I know at
I've
a certain.
got some checks in place. Like,
Okay.
if people don't see me for 3 days, like, which is, I should probably shorten that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, and even like further on down the road, like when 3 becomes like, oh, well, I've got 3 picked, but when it becomes like, well, there's only 2 that can, you know?
Yeah.
Like.
I have 3 nieces.
Okay. So
yeah.
you're looking at the youngers, yeah.
Yeah. So I just feel like I'm gonna like sneak in there.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just gonna be a really great aunt.
yeah,
So
right.
like, we got to take care of Aunt Amy.
Yeah. Yeah. She has been nothing but fucking awesome. So yeah, and now I
Yeah.
get that. See, I've got 2 nephews.
Yeah.
I've got a niece. She does not like me.
Oh dear.
She's so weird. She's back and forth.
Yeah.
But yeah, my two nephews, maybe that's who I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really got to butter them up.
Yeah. Well, I think, an alternative, which is like would be really generous for everyone in your life, is to just like, handful of pills and just go out quiet.
I'd love to do it. Like, if you, huh? Okay, cool. We'll wrap it up. You've heard the story of Doug Stanhope and how he sent his mother off.
No.
You should you should definitely listen to that story. It is fucking amazing.
Is it true?
It's true
Okay.
and it's funny, and his perspective on it is incredible. So yeah, we are at the end.
Oh my God, it's been riveting.
It has been. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah.
Time flies when you have fun.
It
Yeah.
is.
And when you get old,
I feel like I should have brought more jokes. So
You brought everything. You brought you, and that was what I wanted. So
yeah,
you know.
I did. I brought me.
Yeah,
I brought
yeah.
hot, sweaty,
Yeah.
tired me.
Yeah, well, we'll let you get showered and go home.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you.
could go home and get showered. Not, yeah, no, and not in any particular order. Anyway, Amy, this has been
Slipping away from you real quick.
this has been a ton of fun. I appreciate you taking the time to come in and talk with me.
Thanks for having me. It's
absolutely.
been really delightful.
Thank you very much. Shouts out to Grimtown Studios. Thank y'all for letting us play. Pickle, I know you back there somewhere. Shouts out to Pickle. Yeah, thank you for tuning in.